channel. It's your girl Lyssy, and today guys, we're gonna be talking about some more creepy nostalgic stuff, because that's what I do best here on this channel. And I hope you guys are ready for it, right Angel? She says smash a like on today's video. Let's see if we can get today's video to 10,000 likes, guys, and if we do, I'll continue this series about creepy children's show characters that keep me up at night. Also, if you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. I have a lot of really exciting videos that I can't tell you guys about yet, so make sure you guys are subscribed. But yeah, guys, today we're literally gonna be talking about some of the most cursed, creepiest kid show characters on the entire face of this planet and Earth, because I love talking about weird stuff. We love creepy nostalgia. Tea is hot, and let's get into it. So the first scary show we're gonna be talking about and character we're gonna be talking about is from a show called Wisit, and the character's name itself was Wisit. Wisit is a 1980s BBC children's TV show about an alien magician named Wisit. It starred the established TV stage and stage magician Paul Daniels and his assistant Debbie McGee. The series is set in Puzzletopias, a town inhabited by walking, talking SpongeBob, dice, magic wands, playing cards, and even rabbits. And in this world, the protagonist must solve puzzles along the way. Wisbit's year and a day mission is to find out all about planet Earth. The show is actually partially educational. Yes, somehow this cursed show is partially educational, even though it looks like this. And it would literally terrify me to even sit in front of the TV show and make myself watch this to learn anything. When I'm staring at Wisit here on the screen, it makes me literally question the existence of my own life. So Wisit is a large, yellow, cone-shaped wizard's hat, voiced by Paul Daniels and played by Tony Friel. Yeah, that's the person inside of Wisit. Wooly is another character from the show. He is an 8-foot-tall white rabbit, and he's the best friend of Wisit. Wouldn't you guess that? And he's also voiced by Paul Daniels. Squidry Bog is a purple swamp monster voiced by Martin Daniels, and Professor Doom is a mustached evil genius archvillain who lives in a castle which sits atop a giant stone fist in the sky. I don't know who directed this show, who thought this was a good concept, or what they were, you know, smoking when they made this, but the show is just all very, very creepy and very strange. Don't even know how somebody thought about these ideas in the very first place to start off with it all. It's all that weird. But if you guys couldn't get the gist here, I don't like it. I don't like anything to do with Wisit. I don't want to watch Wisit. Comment down below, have you guys ever seen this show, and what do you guys think of Wisit? Would you guys have watched it as a kid? Me? No thank you. I'm glad I didn't watch this one. So the next show we're going to be talking about is also an educational one, but not just any kind of educational one, a religiously based educational show. And I do want to put a disclaimer, I'm fine with having beliefs. I do not judge anyone's beliefs because I myself am personally religious, but just the way that they chose characters for the show and directed the show is all around very unsettling, especially the main character. So the main character of the show is Psalty, and he is a book, specifically a Bible. This show is called Psalty Songs for Little Praisers.
Hey kids, it's time for Psalty Songs for Little Praisers.
This was a musical show that was meant to teach kids the Bible, featuring a giant blue talking singing man dressed as a Bible book. His name was Psalty. They literally put a man in this costume and just painted his face blue and called him the Bible, which is already a lot to take in. During the show, he ran around creepily amongst the screen and interacted with young children the entire time. Like I said, by no means am I trying to make fun of anybody's religion here, because like I said, I am religious and I also have religious beliefs. But if I was a little kid and they put this on TV and they told me that this is how I'm going to learn something, I would be more terrified by just looking at this man's face than the whole concept that I'm trying to get the gist of. I'd be scared and traumatized by just this show, let alone any of the beliefs on the side. Just the way that they filmed this was not right. Even creepier was that all the adults casted onto the show that were dressed as animals, such as sheep, mice, or other creatures, had face paint slapped onto them really creepily, and they had to play ridiculous voice roles, like they made their voices sound ridiculous.
Can't have much of a praise party without a cast.
Instead of just making like a full mascot costume, they're like, nah, let's leave the full face and just slap some paint on there and make them be a part of the show. Did not help with anything. There was also really creepy talking creatures, books and boxes during this show that were like animatronic looking. I don't know why, if it's supposed to be a religious show. Everything about this show in general just gave off very unsettling, disturbing, traumatizing vibe. So the next show has another really scary creature. This one is called Terrahawks, and this thing on the screen that I'm putting right here, yes, that is part of the Terrahawks show. The show is really traumatizing, like all the rest of them. This is a sci-fi children's show created by Gary Anderson. The series was set in 2020 after an alien force has destroyed NASA's Mars base, and Earth apparently is under threat. So we've already passed 2020, we're in the future of the show now, which that literally tells us how old this show is. A small organization, the Terrahawks, is set up to defend the planet. From Hawknest, their secret base in South America, they develop a sophisticated weapon to prepare the battles to come. But the problem with this show was literally just this one character on the screen that was literally traumatizing all the kids. Yes, this was one of the main characters of the show. This character had gray hair, brown eyes, a wrinkly tree-like texture to her skin, almost looked witch-like with long claws, and I can tell you, under all the Reddit forums I've seen, any kid who had this show played to them when they were younger says that they were just completely traumatized after watching the show. They had a hard time sleeping at night and would often have nightmares just thinking about the character. So I can totally see why. So the next show is Nightmare Fuel, and I want to apologize, I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm gonna try to say it. It's Slanko Ratac Placha. I don't know how to say that. Like I said, it's in another language, so forgive me if I said it wrong. Ratac Placha is a character from an educational children's TV show. He served as one of the hosts of the show, and this show, and especially this character, is famous worldwide for creating a lot of nightmare feel for the kids who watched it. Ratac is a puppet that appears with a human peach skin. He has messy thin white hair, blue eyes, red lips, light yellow buck teeth, large round cheeks, a very long giraffe-like neck, and a huge nose. He is wide and stands about 7 feet tall, and he has 4 legs. What the heck? He wears a large blanket that is red, white, and light blue with patches on it, and he also wears red gloves in the series, whereas outside of the show, he wears white gloves. The way the puppetry works is 2 people actually hide underneath a blanket with a sleeve for them, with one of the puppeteers having their arm out of the neckline of the blanket in a peach-colored sleeve, holding and controlling Ratafac's head. That's really creepy to imagine, or even think about people inside of there controlling this huge, cursed-looking puppet. Ratac is actually a silly character. He's supposed to be silly and goofy according to the show. He's actually slightly a confused person, and he's really enthusiastic. First, he would say things that would mislead the children who watch the show, allowing the children to correct him, so he'd be like, I don't know, what color is that? Or, you know, kind of like some Dora the Explorer type stuff. And this was a Slovakian TV show, I'm pretty sure. If you grew up in Slovakia or had seen this, let me know as a kid if this character terrified you, because according to the internet, it caused nightmare fuel for a lot of people. Like a lot of people, specifically this was the character that they hated more than any other kids show character. And that's speaking words. It's made it into the top, like, most terrifying kids show characters ever, possibly ranks #1. So the next show is one that I've never heard of until I did research for today's video for you guys. And this one is called Telecat. So Telecat had puppets, and these puppets were not your typical puppets. They were very human-like looking animals, and this is where I have a problem with the show. These puppets were supposed to be animals, but they just felt so human-like. The way that they dressed, the way they talked and held their posture, and pretty much presented themselves felt like half animal, half human, and that's where it became really unsettling. So Telecat is a French-Belgian puppet show created by Belgian director Henry. It ran for 3 seasons between 1983 and 1985 with a total of 234, yes, 234 episodes of these cursed little creatures. And they were each 5 minutes, so at least they weren't long episodes, they were only 5-minute episodes, thank goodness. They were a parody of new shows, and they were hosted by 2 funny animals, a tomcat named Groucha and an ostrich named Lola. It featured a variety of sentient objects and revolved around the idea that real-life elementary particles known as gluons were the souls of objects. Very strange concept for a TV show. With its surreal and sometimes dark humor, the series enjoys cult status in France and Belgium. According to the producer of the show, a number of episodes were even dubbed in the UK on Disney Channel? What? I don't even know how that's possible. Although apparently many episodes were rejected by Disney on the grounds that Lola showed too much cleavage. Ooh. Isn't that the ostrich? An ostrich with boobs? Excuse me? They're a little too human-like. So take it as you guys would like to, but for me personally, the idea of these very human-like animals just came off very wrong, okay? I didn't like it. I didn't like any of it. I didn't like the fact that they were dressing and presenting themselves the way they did with just the whole look. I don't know. They could have made really cute puppets, but no, they made those things. And that leads us to our last scary kids show that I used to watch and actually enjoy, that some people apparently didn't. And that's Courage the Cowardly Dog. Yes, it did scare me a little bit as a kid, but I still enjoyed it in a really unsettling way. Courage the Cowardly Dog is an American animated comedy horror television series created by John Dilworth for Cartoon Network and distributed by Warner Bros. The title character is a dog who lives with an elderly couple in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. And each episode, the trio is thrown into a bizarre, frequently disturbing, and often paranormal or supernatural adventure. The series is known for its dark, surreal humor and its atmosphere. So you guys might be like, what's so bad about that? Well, rumor has it, according to the internet, this show was actually based off a real elderly couple and their dog who lived in the middle of nowhere and had some sort of devil-linked house, and that's where it gets creepy. People say it's based on a real scenario, and during the episodes, if you look closely, they throw in subtle hints to the devil, and it gets kind of dark. This is a kid's show, mind you not. This is where it kind of has problems, and it actually freaks me out looking back at it that I was sitting there watching that, and my family had no clue that I was watching a show animated, potentially linking to darker things. So they subtly threw in like numbers and animations of the devil, and they were showing this to little kids, yes. 8-year-old me was sitting there munching on macaroni and chocolate chip cookies watching a show about cursed paranormal with two elderly people who own a dog, and I guess I enjoyed it. Mr. freaking Nosy Bonk. Mr. Nosy Bonk. What kind of name is Mr. Nosy Bonk? Like, in the first place. This was possibly the most horrifying character I've ever seen. He wore a dinner suit with a huge white mask, and during episodes of the show, Mr. Nosy Bonk was often seen giving clues while acting like a mime, only doing hand gestures and saying nothing while he tried to help kids that are watching the show or in the show solve the puzzles by just doing a bunch of weird hand motions and gestures without saying anything. He was extremely quiet, which of course added to the awkwardness and creepiness of this character and the show. A lot of people found this character to be extremely unsettling, and a lot of children were horrified of this show, just let alone because of Mr. Nosy Bonk. And honestly, I cannot blame them one single freaking bit, because this thing is gonna give me nightmares. And ever since he has returned onto the internet, a bunch of horror sketches have even been made about Mr. Nosy Bonk, and he's even been created into creepypastas all over the internet. And even more concerning was that some of the fan art was made into a Tumblr page called Sexy Man Mr. Nosy Bonk, where people fetishize this character. Don't ask me why. I don't know what they were. That's concerning to me because this character is freaking creepy.
He's hot.
No, he's not. Also, I want to mention that apparently in the show, Mr. Nosy Bonk had some mental issues and some very serious anger problems. Mr. Nosy Bonk was alright and content with humanity and humility until Mr. Bean was released by his UFO in 1990 on the popular streets of London. That was when he became completely obsessed with Mr. Bean due to his schizophrenia after taking his anti-health pills by a mysterious Dixmoor scientist, and it went untreated, resulting in his sight to shatter like a window, and he spiraled into complete madness, which doesn't even make sense. This show became so unsettling it was actually pulled off television, and the tapes were supposedly lost. Since it was scaring so many kids and parents, it had to stop being aired. However, there has been some leaks of the tapes that have been put onto YouTube, and they're really creepy, so I don't recommend checking them out. So that's the tea about Mr. Nosy Bonk. That show is very creepy. So the next horrifying kids show that we're going to be covering is called Peppermint Park. Peppermint Park is a direct-to-video children's show consisting of 6 volumes released in 1987 and 1988 on VHS. The show is a mixture of live action, animation, and puppets. My favorite. We love creepy puppets. Characters included Ernie, who sang a song about the letter M, Snorky, a reptile who's often oblivious to his surrounding and lacks common sense, Maynard, an elderly old man who laminates over his wasted youth, and Piggy, a pig with a big appetite whose voice was similar to that of Kermit the Frog. Many of the show's elements seem to have been copied from Sesame Street. It really feels like they got a lot of inspiration just from Sesame Street with their show. They're basically like a Walmart version of Sesame Street.
Boys and girls, here's something you can do when you can't go to the park. Or maybe your friends can't come over to play.
One of the main characters named Ernie was a giant horrifying puppet who would try to scare the children as they watched the show. Well, he did scare the children. Like, the way that he looked and the way that he sang, it was creepy. He would sing unsettling songs and attempt to teach the children and or viewers about the alphabet or other useful things in life. His voice was also ridiculous. I just want to point that out. I don't know why they, casted whoever they did to play the voice of this puppet, but the voice just was not it. Also, I just want to mention that this puppet was bigger than the size of an average adult human. Yeah, take that in. This puppet is freaking huge. Why is he so big? I really don't know, and I didn't want to know, but he was a big, big boy. I'm not sure who thought this show was a good idea, or who thought that children are going to sit on the screen and watch this puppet sing about the letter M.
It's such a great letter. Just think of all the words that start with M. It's marvelous.
But definitely not me, especially if I'm a kid. That's the last thing I want to be watching. So the next show that we're going to be talking about is called Mullygrubs. Mullygrubs was an Australian TV show for preschoolers featuring storytelling, music, puppets, and an animated face. It was actually mostly remembered just for the single face that was aired on this TV show, because parents and kids that watch this show remember this face so vividly from actually traumatizing them as a child when they put this show on TV. The face was literally just eyebrows, eyes, huge eyelashes that looked like they were about to fly away, bigger than mine, a mouth, and yeah, that was pretty much it. There was no actual facial feature. It was just a floating face with a blue backdrop, and it scared the heck out of kids and parents that were watching the show, because the show would be completely normal and all of a sudden you just see a blue screen with a floating face appear and start talking. She was horrifying. Don't want to know her.
Did you see the kangaroos? They have tiny front paws and big back legs.
Also, there was a weird theory about this face. Apparently, people didn't know who played the role of the face. It was hidden for a long time, and people were starting to get concerned, especially parents that were letting their kids watch the show were what are they trying to hide? People thought they were trying to hide the identity. Basically, they thought the director was trying to hide who's playing the role of the face, and that's why they didn't want to reveal her or whoever was playing the role for some mysterious reason. Until a few years ago when she finally came out and she revealed that she was the scary blue green screen face lady. And I don't know why they were hiding it for all these years. It was like they were trying to keep something from us. Or that she, didn't want to be accused for being the scary face lady with the green screen scaring everybody's children. Anyways, moving along, we're going to be talking about the next show. So the next creepy show was called the Pob Program. Pob Program is a children's television program which was broadcasted in the United Kingdom on Channel 4. The program is presented by a puppet named Pob, played by the puppeteer Robin Stevens, who speaks with a speech impediment and who supposedly lives inside of the viewer's television. So yes, this puppet that you see on the screen was supposed to live inside of your TV. Pob spoke Welsh, and supposedly the concept to him was that he was supposed to live within or inside, like I said, the viewer's television. As you guys could already guess or assume, some children did actually believe and began to panic that Pob, the puppet, really did live inside of their television. So much so that some kids would start to get scared in the morning when they were having their cereal, when they put this show on, that Pob was just going to straight up burst through their television and appear in their living room. And so much so that some of them were so attached to the show that their parents would try to turn it off, and the kids would start hysterically crying, "No, don't turn it off, Pob's gonna die!" Because they thought if you turned off the television show that this puppet named Pob, who was living inside their television, would actually die if they turned the show off, which became very problematic for a lot of parents, of course. As you know, that would not end well. Pob was supposed to be a goblin baby, and he wore a pink and yellow striped jumper, and so many kids began to worry about the factor and the fear that he lived inside of the television. They really did begin thinking that it was real, and of course, that show didn't end up lasting very long because of the fear it was put in the children's minds and imaginations. So, yeah, that's kind of a good thing though, because Pob is really ugly, so I wouldn't want him popping out of my TV either. And last but not least, the last children's show that we're going to be spilling some tea on is called Donkey, Morso, and Moru. Never heard of it until I found it today. and it was creepy, so I want to share it with you guys. This is a Finnish kids show that ran from 1999 to 2001, and it wouldn't have made my list if it weren't for one character specifically, and that character is Morso. I hope I said his name right. It was based on a children's book, and the story tells of a donkey overcoming his fear of Morso with the help of his friend Moru. It's easy to see why Donkey was scared of Morso, if you couldn't already tell. This puppet of a sheep was freaking horrifying. It also didn't help that Morso had a tendency to pop up from behind fences or peer in windows like a literal creeper during the show. These puppets had an unsettling human-like face molded into them, and the main character's eyes looked like they were constantly popping out of his head, and or that he was looking at something with fear constantly, like he had a fear-driven face, like just implanted into him at all times, which kind of concerns me. I wouldn't want to watch this if I was a kid. Although the show was all in Finnish, the characters' voices were very, very low and deep and kind of growly, which made it even worse, even though I have no idea what the characters are saying because I don't speak Finnish. But if I was a kid and if I was in Finland and that was on TV, I would be shutting it off. I don't need to be seeing those animal puppets that look like humans who look distressed, so no thank you. Booba. So if you guys haven't heard about the Boobas, they're really ugly, they're horrifying. I remember my little sister used to watch this and I was like, turn that off, when she was really young, because these things freaked me out. They were worse than the Teletubbies in my opinion, but very similar. They're like the Teletubbies' long-lost cursed twin from a different dimension. So Booba was a show on a British TV program that was produced by Ragdoll Productions. The Boobas are 5 gumdrop-shaped creatures with large eyes and lights in their head for eyebrows. Their heads are shriveled up into their necks like some weird sort of caterpillar creature, and they creepily move around and fly with each other in the sky. And Boobas do not speak, okay? They only speak in their own little Booba language. Instead, they communicate by making noises like squeaks and cracks as their way of communicating in their own language. Even adults that had children that watched the Boobas found the Boobas to be terrifying. I mean, how could you not? Like, if I had a kid watching this, I'd be slightly concerned for my child. Just in the fact that I'd be like, why? There's so many cute things on TV, but why the Boobas? The name is already not good in the first place. Booba? Like, what were they thinking? It's a kid's show. There's just something super unsettling about the way that the Boobas walk around and move and dance around on the screen. And the Boobas even have a website that's straight up cursed. If you go to this website, it has distorted music and creepy flash games that honestly, in my opinion, would not entertain anybody who's above the age of 3, because the website itself is just like, what is happening?
What the f is going on? Okay. Oh my god.
Honestly, they just remind me of a more cursed version of a Teletubby, in my opinion, with a more weirder plot twist to it. Boobas were also described as magical atoms of energy, and they were played by actors in full-blown costume bodysuits. What? That is the most concerning thing ever. So essentially, actors were under this big mascot costume of a Booba. I'm trying to imagine, in my own vision, a full-grown man wearing a Booba suit. Or a full-grown woman. Either or. There's somebody under those suits, and I want to know how that was for them. I'm just curious. Eventually in 2004, filming for Boobas ended and the show was completely cancelled. And that was the end of the Booba era. Was it a good ending? I don't know. What do you guys think about Boobas? Did you guys ever watch that show? I didn't personally want to watch it, but yeah, I watched the Teletubbies and that was cursed enough on its own. So the next character we're going to be talking about is called Fofao. I hope I'm saying that right. Fofao was from the island of Dr. Moru and was an alien-born creature from a fictional planet called Fofaland. It was named after himself. Fofalandia. Fofa? I don't know. Maybe it's Fofao. He came to Earth to form his own band called Balloon Magic with a large group of children that performed alongside him. He actually grew to become quite popular amongst Brazilian children, getting to have their own program, dolls, and other licensed products. However, this is still incredibly freaky to me, and the features on this character are just so abnormal and bizarre. I don't understand how this character was appealing to children and not terrifying them to like run away from their televisions. He had notably strange cheeks that would outgrow and sag amongst his chin and just droop down, like a very long droopy cheek, and his eyes gave off almost a sinister, scary, rude looking stare that would just stare into into your soul. He had a nightmarish appearance, and it was completely unintentional by the producers and writers of the show. Accordingly, they did not intend to make this character look horrifying. They wanted him to appeal to kids, which is really fascinating to me because personally, I don't know where they didn't see this to be a nightmare fuel character. What do you guys think? This would give me nightmares personally. Okay, so the next kid show character that we're gonna spill some tea on is one that I've talked about in the past, and that is Barney the big old purple dinosaur. I'm sure we've all watched Barney, or at least have heard about Barney the dinosaur, but Barney the dinosaur has such a long history to him. So Barney the dinosaur was a beloved children's character that has been a part of popular culture since the 1990s. Barney was created by Cheryl in 1987, and the character made his debut on television series Barney and Friends in 1992. The show was designed to educate and entertain young children, with Barney and his friends singing songs, dancing, and teaching lessons about teamwork and friendship along the show. And I believe that Cheryl designed Barney for her son, who really loved purple dinosaurs. I don't know, I heard that online somewhere. Although Barney was initially very popular with young children and their parents, the character in the show eventually faced criticism and a lot of controversy along the way. Some people felt the show was too simplistic and that it promoted a one-dimensional, overly optimistic view of the world, while others, on the other half, felt that the character's catchphrases such as "I love you," "You love me," were overly promoted, and the show's repetitive format was not good for their children to hear those words for some reason. I personally don't see anything wrong with the whole "I love you, you love me, we're a happy family," but maybe as a kid, the kids could take it in the wrong way. I don't know. I more so had a problem with Barney the dinosaur being a gigantic purple dinosaur that runs around on TV. The suit itself was scary to me. The way that he just stood and looked and his facial features just came off really eerie in my opinion. What do you guys think about Barney? Despite the criticism, Barney remained a popular and enduring cultural icon, and the character continues to be loved by many children and adults around the world to this day. So the next character we're going to be talking about is Mr. Blobby. And I've actually covered Mr. Blobby in an entire video before, but he is so freaking creepy and cursed that I just wanted to bring it into today's video as well, because some of you guys still don't know about Mr. Blobby. So Mr. Blobby is a character that was created and popularized by the British entertainment show Noel's House Party, which aired on BBC from 1991 to 1999. Mr. Blobby was a large, fluffy creature with pink and white striped body and a round, smiling face. He was known for his wacky antics and his tendency to cause chaos wherever he went. He had big old googly eyes, and he only talked in his own blobby language, so he would say things like blobby blobby blobby, and it almost sounded robotic, and he even sang his own blobby songs, which were terrifying. He even released a Christmas single called Mr. Blobby in 1993, which became a chart-topping hit in the United Kingdom. And he even had a theme park designed after his show because people loved him so much. Why? I don't understand. He's so creepy. Despite his initial popularity, Mr. Blobby eventually faced criticism and backlash during his career. Some people felt that the character was childish and overly simplistic, and others found him annoying or even frightening. Despite this, Mr. Blobby remained a popular and memorable culture icon and continues to be remembered by many people as a symbol of the 1990s British and pop culture era. What do you guys think about Mr. Blobby? Would you have watched that show growing up as a kid, or would you have been horrified? I, for one, don't know. Maybe I would have found it kind of funny, but also terrifying. So the next children's show that we're going to be covering today that might have given you nightmares as a kid was The Wiggles. I actually watched The Wiggles as a kid. Don't ask why, I don't know. My family put it on for me. But not The Wiggles in specific that we're going to be covering that actually is kind of scary, but the puppets that they put on the show as show filler were the problem here. So The Wiggles are an Australian children's entertainment group that was formed in Sydney in 1991. The group originally consisted of Anthony, Murray, Greg, and Jeff, and they became known for their energetic performances and very catchy music that aimed at children. In fact, so catchy that I still remember some of the songs that they played on the show, such as Fruit Salad, Yummy Yummy. It was so catchy. The Wiggles often use puppets as a part of their performance in educational videos. The puppets were designed and built by the group's founding member, Anthony, and they included characters such as Dorothy the Dinosaur, Wags the Dog, and Henry the Octopus. They were actually based on Alvin and the Chipmunks because that was super popular back then, so they got some inspiration from that to make these puppets. And they thought it was a good idea to add this element to the show and really spice up their show with these puppets. But it really wasn't. These puppets were horrifying. They had their own unique personalities and styles, and their voices were pitched up to sound like a very high-pitched rodent resembling the Alvin and the Chipmunks sort of feel. They moved in an odd and bizarre manner, and they had very strange puppetry to go along with their very odd movements. They always had these big, creepy, firm plastered smiles amongst their face, like they were grinning so hard that their cheeks hurted, and their eyes were absolutely huge. And they appeared on a screen to be large and beady. It felt like we were watching more of a horror film than we were actually watching a children's show when you saw these puppets emerge on the Wiggles. So of course the Wiggles gained a lot of popularity for a very long time, and they even were still popular till today. I think I recently saw on TikTok that there was a Wiggles comeback concert where adults that were my age, because this was the age group of like the Wiggles viewers, went back to watch the Wiggles perform as full-grown adults, which is kind of crazy and nostalgic. But I don't know if they brought the puppets on stage. I really hope they didn't. Anyways, guys, that was it for today's Scary Kids Show icons that gave me nightmares. Let me know in the comments down below what kids show characters scared you guys the most when you guys were little. I'm curious and I want to hear more about it. And I would love to make a part 2 if you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments which characters I should cover in a part 2. It's been Lyssy. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you guys enjoyed, smash a like and subscribe to join the family. I post new videos every single week, and I also have other socials linked down below. And I'll see all of you lovely people in the next video. Bye, guys!